There appears to be potential for severe weather on Tuesday after a bout of some pretty good heat. We're going to talk all about that right now. The time is 4:42 p.m. and it is August 25th. Welcome to another update for Great Lakes weather. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. It's been a while since we've done an actual video update for a severe weather threat, but this one I thought deserved a video, mainly because there's a lot of questions with regards to this, okay? Again, you see that Michigan is under a broad, slight risk for severe thunderstorms. Pretty much all of lower Michigan is included in this. I really think the threat's going to be focused further north. I'll explain why that is in just a minute. But slight risk for severe thunderstorms does remain for much of Wisconsin and lower Michigan at this time. Okay, so you do see that it encompasses pretty much all of lower Michigan with a 15% chance of severe weather within 25 miles of a point. So if you're within 25 miles of that yellow box there, you are pretty much in that slight risk area. So the thing is with this setup, it is going to be a potent environment for severe weather, but we may be inhibited by a good strong cap. A capping inversion is basically a temperature inversion in the atmosphere that kind of prevents storms from popping up, and this one's going to be in the mid-layer. It could prevent storms from being I guess, stronger than your typical general thunderstorm, okay? So, slight risk for severe thunderstorms. We're going to get into a little bit of details with that, but prior to that, we're going to be dealing with heat, and heat is something we also want to talk about with regards to upcoming severe weather, because heat is sometimes can be more impactful even in some places. So again, this right here is labeled out for Tuesday, okay? See this shape right here. You may notice there's several shapes. These are for multiple days of excessive heat, particularly across portions of areas west of Lake Michigan. And you see this orange box here, that indicates severe weather. This severe weather may be connected also to the severe weather we see on Tuesday as well. This is for Monday across portions of southern Minnesota and northwest Wisconsin. And then the system moves into the Great Lakes, okay? And along the leading edge of it, that's where the heat's coming in, okay? So you're going to have temperatures in the 90s likely across regions that are in this little shaded area here, as well as high dew points that will bring temperatures into, I'd say, feeling like the hundreds, maybe even the close to 105, maybe a little higher than that as well in some places. So again, it's going to be a day you're going to want to be careful. If you're doing work outside, it's going to be a very hot and humid day, and it's better to wait to mow your lawn until after this excessive heat kind of makes its way through the area. So that's something that is going to be kind of the cause for concern on Tuesday, maybe even into late Monday. Let's take a look at the temperatures. Again, this is the NAM. The NAM is updating at this moment. We're actually going to go back to the NAM a little bit in regards to the severe weather threat. But what you see in terms of temperatures, air temperatures for Tuesday, so we're going to go to Tuesday here. You see temperatures get into the mid-upper 90s across portions of northwest Indiana, even in the 90s across portions of lower Michigan as well, and Illinois. So again, those high temperatures combined with high dew points, take a look at the dew points that are being forecast by the NAM as well. Dew points that are climbing up even in close to the 80s. That is some very sticky, nasty air, okay, upper 70s. So that means it's going to be a pretty humid night. Again, if you don't have an air conditioner, that's going to be very unfortunate because it's going to be kind of miserable across portions of Michigan, Indiana, and portions of Illinois. Especially Illinois, it looks like it's going to be dealing with the brunt of that heat. And then you have that front that moves through, kind of cool things down a little bit across portions of Michigan. Again, it looks like Indiana and Ohio might be dealing with another day of heat, though. It's not really going to do too much in terms of the heat well, it's going to bring down the humidity levels greatly. You can see that temperature or dew points drop down to the 60s across much of lower Michigan. But some places will not see the effects, as big of effects from it, and they'll still be kind of hot and humid. But that will change once we get to Friday, which we'll talk about a little bit more in detail later as well. So, Euro kind of puts out the same kind of idea as we get to Tuesday. You see temperatures get into the 90s again. Euro kind of downplays the heat carrying over into portions of Indiana and Michigan. I think you could see some mid-90s across portions of Michigan and Indiana, but you do see the upper 90s kind of focus across portions of Illinois as well. So, let's see what that does to our to our feels like. Okay, so the heat index, again, shows you what it could feel like outside. Now, this is for Tuesday afternoon. Now, you notice the temperatures get close to 110 even in some spots across portions of northwest Indiana, and then it does get into 110 as you get into Illinois. So again, the heat, you're going to feel it definitely on Tuesday. Going to want to be cautious if you're working outside. May wait on doing that outdoor yard work until it starts to cool down a little bit. It's going to be hot and humid. So drink plenty of water, get your ACs kicking. Again, late August, you kind of get that one heat wave, and then you get that storm event that could potentially be kind of strong. We did have that also last year, August 24th. I'm sure many of you remember that day quite well. Pretty powerful storms rolled through much of lower Michigan. I was chasing those storms. Again, the environment, I would say, has similarities. Not in terms of shear, I'm not really as impressed. But with regards to the instability, it is a high instability event if we do get storms to convect and break through the cap. So, let's go to the Euro. Again, the Euro is kind of the one that plays out the most convection that forms with this storm on Tuesday. As we go through, you can see that it actually even puts out a few storms firing across the area Monday evening. That's possible, but I really think it's going to be displaced further to the west. That's where you're going to start to see those storms. I think this is probably going to I don't really know if this is going to be the case with these storms firing across portions of Wisconsin. We'll have to see what happens, but again, that's the Euro kind of playing that out. But these storms will definitely be kicking through Minnesota, Wisconsin, up towards the Upper Peninsula. Western Upper Peninsula could see the impacts of these storms, and they will have some severe weather potential. Good instability with these storms. Let's go forward now into Tuesday. Now, the Euro plays out a few storms, still firing across portions of northern Michigan as early as 2 p.m. With packing a little bit of marginal shear potential. It will be hot, but again, there's not really that much spin in the atmosphere and not really that much cape at that time up in that area. What we're going to have to watch is Tuesday around 8 p.m. what happens out in Wisconsin, because the storms that fire in Wisconsin will likely move their way into portions of lower Michigan as well. Okay, so again, you do have low cloud bases, but your SRH at the first kilometer is going to be very weird. And I say that because your SRH is at negative 32. And when it's below zero, that really doesn't help the case for severe weather or tornado potential. So again, it could be more of a damaging wind and hail event because of the weird SRH that you're kind of seeing with this setup. But again, a lot of instability. You can see that instability really goes all the way up into the higher levels of the atmosphere. And you do have an increasing mid-level westerly winds and then going all the way up into portions of the upper levels as well. So again, you do have low wind speeds also at the surface, but with the mid-level the way it is, you could have some good storms that make their way through. The Euro kind of plays out these storms staying further to the west and then as they move southeast. It'll be interesting to see if that follows through. Again, still packing severe weather potential as they continue. Cape gets up to 6,000 across that area. The real issue we're going to have with storms across Michigan is a capping inversion. Again, capping inversion prevents storms from forming, and you can see this little value right here that says CINH. You really don't want that anywhere above, I'd say, negative 20. You're at negative 65 here, and the NAM plays it out even strong as an even stronger cap. The stronger the cap, the less likelihood we have storms forming now. That's not to say if we do get prior storms that move through, that could have some influence on if the capping inversion stays or falls apart. Because if we get some storms, that might break the cap and enable storms to form later on in the afternoon. Now again, we'll have to see how that goes on. But if that inversion remains in place and it stays strong, I don't even know if we'll see even storms here. And that's one of the bigger questions with this setup. There's a slight risk out, but the SPC is also saying this as well. That inversion could basically prevent any storms from forming. So it's kind of a mystery with regards to exactly how this could unfold. So let's take a look at the NAM real quick. And again, one reason why I think the threat for severe weather will stay further to the north is because the low pressure, the center of low pressure, is also going to be further displaced off to the north. Close to the low, you have a higher likelihood of storms forming, even when there's a capping inversion. So again, you can see the environment up here in portions of northern Michigan is actually going to be more potent than areas to the south. If you get a sounding across portions of southern Michigan, you still have a lot of cape. You have better SRH values that appear, but again, that spin's not strong enough to show really much tornadic potential. Your cap is at 104. Marginal shear potential here, and it really shows a lack of well-pronounced wind shear, directional and speed shear, across the southern portions of Michigan. So I think the area that could be a bit even more interesting would be northern Michigan in this case. You see there's a better increase of shear. You have better SRH values in the third kilometer in particular. Your lifted index is really high. These storms could pack a good amount of lightning if they form, but you can see that the NAM really doesn't even show anything happening across portions of southern Michigan. And then Thursday might be a day to watch across portions of Indiana, Ohio. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled for that. But that's kind of the question is, will that cap cause us to not even see any storms at all? And we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, here is the threat or outlook based on the CSU MLP, basically taking a conglomeration of several models and putting out an outlook graphic based on that. You can see that they're following also with this idea that the storms will be further to the north in that better sheared environment. Maybe not as unstable, it'll still be somewhat quite unstable, but again, you're not dealing with as much of a cap, and you are closer to the low at that point. And then you also see in Indiana and Ohio, that's where the threat kind of shifts on Wednesday, and then Thursday it shifts further off towards Virginia, North Carolina, and really weather starts to kind of chill a little bit more once again as after that system passes through. So we're waiting to see exactly what will go on, but here's an ensemble graphic of the outlook for Cape. You can see that these are several different outputs of a possible potential with this, and you can see here. Let me try and blow it up a little bit so you can see it. But you can see that each ensemble does put out a good deal of instability, especially to the west side of Lake Michigan, and also some models put out some of that increased Cape across portions of eastern Michigan too. So again, most of the models that you see across different websites are kind of putting out one idea of what's going to happen. These ensembles are really helpful in kind of giving a kind of a rough estimate of, okay, this is where the best chance of something or the best instability will be. So watching this carefully, seeing what's going to happen Tuesday. If Tuesday does pan out to be an uncapped day, I will be chasing. Not sure exactly where yet. I don't know if I'll make it up to northern Michigan in time, but we'll see what happens. I will definitely be chasing anything that's south of Grand Rapids, but North Grand Rapids, I may get there. We'll see what happens. But make sure to subscribe. I will keep you guys updated. Thanks for your support over the past several months. Really appreciate it. I know that some of you guys have sent in some stuff on the MSC wish list, and I really appreciate that. That's going to really help with chasing and such. So I'll definitely send out thanks to you guys that did send some stuff in. And again, Labor Day, I will be up at the bridge for the bridge walk. Feel free to say hi. I am okay with talking with people. So yeah, feel free to say hi, and I'm looking forward to that event as well. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.